Thanks so much for your time here in Honolulu, and an exciting time for travel. The airports are getting busier, your planes are getting fuller, and you're expanding the network again to what it used to be.
Yeah, it's great to be seeing travel start to return, and we've seen great demand from all of the places that we've brought back in our network.
Now, Australia is one of those. Obviously, you came back in mid-December, and now we're looking at sort of one of the busiest periods of travel, and your flights are full.
Well, they're ramping up. We're seeing bookings that are ahead of the same pace in 2019, but coming back off a lower base. So I think we've still got work to do to fill those flights up, but we're encouraged by the demand that we're seeing, and again, it's starting to book really quite quickly.
We've seen a lot of competition into Hawaii from the mainland, and probably like we've never seen before in terms of a lot of carriers launching flights into Maui and Kona from the US mainland. So a lot of focus on Hawaii at the moment, and X factor with you guys, you've run a lot of wide bodies more than the other carriers as well. So
yeah, I mean, I think it speaks to the enduring appeal of Hawaii as a destination, and particularly as a safe destination coming out of COVID. But we've seen very, very strong domestic demand for Hawaii travel. We've seen a lot of competition, and so our focus as always has been on offering a better experience than our competitors and making sure that we're price competitive as well. And that value proposition seems to be really resonating with people as they're getting out and traveling again post-COVID.
You're obviously ready for international travelers again once borders like Japan open up. Obviously, we'll see a huge boom from Japan, obviously, and Korea's obviously opened back up. So, and you're ready to carry these passengers throughout the islands as well, which is a huge benefit that you have.
Yeah, the inter-island network is of course a great asset that we have, the ability to transport people seamlessly between the islands with a great frequency. But it's also, I think, the international is really bound by how quickly some of the restrictions relax. And what we've seen in every market, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Korea, as they've started to relax restrictions, is that with each progressive relaxation of a rule, we see another uptick in demand. And so I think it really does show there's a lot of pent-up demand for travel.
And you've obviously come back into Australia as one of your markets, and you haven't stopped the flights. You've been actually putting more flights on and also launching back into Auckland. So it's a lot of consistency there with your airline there, isn't it?
These markets are markets we've been in for a very long time. Australia is one of our longest running international markets. New Zealand is one we have a great commitment to. And so as soon as we saw policy measures in place that would allow people to travel, we've wanted to be in the market and serving the market again and building back our relationship with those guests.
And how exciting is that from a staff standpoint? How excited are the staff to be seeing the planes going back to Australia, back to New Zealand, and back into Japan soon when that opens?
It's huge excitement for us to be able to go and welcome people back from these markets. I think it's been a very difficult 2 years for our industry. We have, I think, absolutely the best frontline staff in the industry. And for them to get to go to some of these places that they've missed is really exciting. And I think you feel the energy on the plane. I flew down to Sydney for a weekend a couple of weeks ago, and you could really tell how happy the crew were to be there and to be flying to Sydney again.
And they're the face of the airline, right? So customer service on board is probably, apart from your great seat product, the customer service is what makes the airline here.
I think it is one of the things that makes us so special. And even through the course of the pandemic, when there were a lot of extra safety measures that put barriers between us and our guests, our frontline staff did a really extraordinary job in continuing to deliver a much higher level of service. We did meal service all the way through. We found ways to do it safely, but it was really important to us that we continue to focus on that core of hospitality that people expect of our brand.
And you've got a very popular cabin, the Comfort Cabin. That's obviously selling very well for you on a lot of routes for the airline, isn't it?
Yeah, that's been a terrific product for us, both domestically and internationally, but especially on some of those longer haul flights where the extra bit of legroom is very appealing for people. It's a great value proposition.
And business class, the flatbeds, which we chatted to you about a few years ago, are now doing super well and have been really popular, haven't they, on a lot of the routes as well? Yeah,
that's been one of the things we've noted as demand has come back after the pandemic is demand for the business class cabin has been extremely strong and come back, I think, probably stronger than the main cabin at this point.
And those who haven't flown Hawaiian for a couple of years will notice a new aircraft in the fleet that's come on, the A321s as well. So and this is becoming, again, a popular product for you, isn't it, across into the mainland and between in the islands sometimes?
Yeah, the A321neo is just a terrific plane. It's one that allows us to deliver the same kind of guest experience that people have come to expect from us in a single aisle plane that can go back and forth to the West Coast. And really, you'll feel it when you're a guest on the plane, but one of the best things is just how incredibly fuel efficient these aircraft are, and they really help our push towards sustainability. They are about as efficient, if not a little bit more, on a per-seat basis as the A330s, which is a much bigger aircraft.
Which is pretty exciting, and obviously that transition for you from a fleet standpoint gets even better going forward over the next few years when your Dreamliners come, so you're upping the ante more and more with these new aircraft.
Yeah, the fleet investment is important for us. It's important for us in terms of guest experience, but it is also important to us in terms of ensuring that we have the most fuel-efficient fleet going forward as we're trying every year to reduce the carbon intensity of our business. And so we look at both of those factors when we think about our investment in future fleet.
You have actually made an announcement around that recently where customers can actually assist, can't they, in terms of the carbon reduction?
Yeah, it's an important choice. It's not one that everyone's going to choose to make, but we wanted to ensure that anyone who did want to offset their travel with certified carbon credits has the opportunity to do so. So at the end of every booking, you'll be given a link to a carbon calculator. We are working with Conservation International, who has a great reputation in this space and who can offer carbon offsets specific to your distance of travel.
I guess you're in a unique position in the Pacific where you're one of the most remote regions for aviation anywhere in the world, and you've got one of the most tightest ecosystems anywhere. That's very, very careful. I mean, we've got to look after it here, whether it's the reefs and everything else. So it is a very important role for the airline to play, isn't it?
It is. We can't avoid the fact that we fly aircraft that burn fossil fuels, but we look out the windows of our office every day at the Pacific Ocean, and for us that's a real reminder of our commitment and our obligation to ensure that we're preserving Hawaii's environment for the generations to come.
And last but not least, I know you do have some new planes coming. And what else is in the future for Hawaii? What are some of the other ways that you are really trying to make a bit of a difference when it comes to Hawaii as well?
We've been very focused. We have new product coming. We have the 787s that we're very excited about. We've just opened up a new facility at Honolulu, our new Mauka concourse, over the course of the pandemic, which is a beautiful new 10-gate facility on the air side that is really modernizing our guest experience at the airport. And you know, a lot of great investments in our loyalty program. So Hawaiian Miles no longer expire. That's something that I think particularly for some of our international travelers who travel less frequently will be a nice benefit. And then lastly, we're really focused on some of the core things around sharing more culture, more information about how to experience Hawaii well. All of that is stuff that we've worked on elevating over the course of the pandemic, and we're really excited to bring to some of our guests who haven't traveled with us in a very long time.
And thank you so much for your time, Ari. But when it comes down to what you guys do so well, it's getting on board that plane, the music playing, and becoming a guest of Hawaii the second you're on board Hawaiian Airlines.
That's really what we hope to do, and we want to welcome people back. And again, you know, if you can start your trip 10 hours earlier and get it 10 hours longer by starting that trip with us and ending it with us, we really want to welcome people back to that.
Well, Avi, thank you again so much for your time, and thanks for having us in Hawaii.
Great, thank you. Aloha.